It's farmer's market morning and it's time to load up the truck. Today we are selling plants and eggs. And that's it. Let's get it going. The way I've been separating this year are, well, some of these we're keeping and some of these we're selling. I kind of know what's what in here. All of the stuff in the baskets we will be taking today. And over there, and some of these things over here we'll be taking. We mostly have peppers and tomatoes and some pumpkins and some spaghetti squash, zucchini, that kind of stuff we'll be taking, and we're only taking that kind of stuff because it was requested. So let's get it loaded up in the truck. So it is the weekend after Memorial Day right now, so we're right about June 1st. It is actually June 1st today, and normally we have our garden planted, but we had frost again this morning, so we are just holding off and giving these plants the best chance that they're going to have, or the plants we're keeping, not these selling ones. Getting these plants loaded up was substantially easier than when we are loading produce the night before a farmer's market when we have produce. We just did this the morning of, and when we load produce, it is the night before, and it takes a really long time to gather and pick everything and clean everything. And we debated not even going to the market this week. Kind of glad we're going. Here's a couple that ended up way too big. They even have fruit set on them, as you can see right there. We wouldn't really be selling them at this size, but these were our greenhouse ones and they just ended up in pots, and here we are. Couple more plants. Use all the other stuff in this to set up our table, as well as our farmer's market tables back there, and the box is there so he can put water in it to water all these plants. Can't forget to bring water. Getting our water, and there's ice in the bucket. That's how cold it was last night, again. When we get everything unloaded at the farmer's market, we are supposed to set it within our 10-foot by 10-foot spot. Then it's all about organizing it up on the table. Since we are selling plants, I organized them based on, well, what they are next to each other, and then varieties as far as like if they're cherry tomatoes or if they're big beefsteak tomatoes or what they were, and that seemed to work really well. Yet again, this setup was far easier than when we have a bunch of produce in the fall and we're organizing various boxes or baskets of produce. I guess just something else to live and learn about, and it was kind of a nice surprise. This is what the table looked like after we had everything all set up for the day. We do have extra starts under the table, kind of in reserve. We have pretty simple prices today. Everything's $5 across the board. We are also running a bulk deal as well. John looks pretty happy back there. Plants look pretty good, so let's get selling. It is our last hour at the farmer's market, and you can see him back there, standing there. Not much action ever really happens the last hour of the farmer's market. So we will see if we get some of these plants sold or if they're going to end up going in our garden at home, which not a bad worst case scenario. This is what the table looked like the last hour. We still had quite a few plants, so we'll see if we can get some more sold. But everything is up from under the table, and now John stands here and sells. A couple interested people stopped by, but as you can see, it's much slower than what would be expected. So this is honestly what we expect the last hour of farmer's market. Just kind of slow, and hopefully a couple more sales come our way. We are back from the farmer's market after another day of selling plants. This is our seemingly empty greenhouse, and it's time to get it loaded back up again with what we have left over. This is only our third farmer's market where we have sold plants. Normally we are produce people, so we are noticing some big differences in taking plant starts versus taking vegetables. And the first big difference is getting all set up has been much easier, and the aftermath has been much easier. We don't have a bunch of produce to deal with that is going to spoil. Yes, we do have some plants to deal with that we do still want to get to homes or get planted, but they have a little bit more of a shelf life than once the produce is picked, you have to do something with it. So this has been a little bit easier in that sense. Also, we have been blessed with really great weather that we did not damage our plants when we took them to the farmer's market. If it was a windy day or something like that, if something like that happened, that could be really devastating. But so far, for these last couple of markets, it's been really good. So let's see what we have left that will be going back into the greenhouse. It is about 2 o'clock. Oh. There we go. It is about 2 o'clock, and you see we do have quite a bit in there. That was enough time to get back home, get a snack. All right, let's get all these back in the greenhouse. These are hatch green chilies in this one. Some cucumbers here. Some more cucumbers here. Looks like some squash. They are all labeled. I see some honeyboat delicata. The good thing about doing this too is the stuff that doesn't sell, if it needs to go in the ground, we will more than gladly keep it for our own uses. And only 4 dozen eggs left, so that's pretty good. Okay, I made that easier on myself. Now let's get these in the greenhouse. Okay, we are all back in. Cucumbers, peppers, these came back with us. Couple tomatoes down here, not all too many. Everything else was already in here. Over here though, those came back with us. And these came back with us. So that's it for this video. All the plants are back where they're gonna go for now until they do get sold or do end up in our garden. This sort of a farmer's market is so different than our fall farmer's markets where we're gathering all that produce, we're washing it, we're grouping it, and we're taking it to the market. If you want to check it out, I'll leave it at the end of this video to check out, because it's just a huge difference on the effort that goes into it. Those do make us a little bit more money, and it's just fun to go do those, I feel like, compared to this. But this is a nice start to the season, and I just wanted to show off how we did it this year. It was a lot simpler, but there are a lot more upfront costs that go into this. Like, for instance, all the soil and all of the planters, those cost money. So when I sell this, I don't get to keep that soil and I don't get to keep that planter. When we go ahead and we sell our produce, things like irrigation maybe went into it. We do get to keep the drip tape or the irrigation method that we used and reuse that the next year. So the materials are just different and the cost is a little bit different with that. So that's something to consider. If you like this video, if you want to see how our gardens end up with all of these plants, and these are not all the plants. We have plants in our other greenhouse too. These are kind of just our for sale plants, a lot of them. And some stuff we're keeping. But anyways, if you want to see how all of it ends up, please consider liking and subscribing. Or if you just want to see different tips and tricks for, I guess, farm life? I don't know. Maybe I'll call it that. Please consider liking and subscribing. Thanks for watching.